guys obviously have never fought. McGregor has never fought in a boxing match, and this is unheard of. You never see this happen where a guy who hasn't fought ever fights the best. I'm going to go and say it now. I think he is the best boxer. He doesn't get hit. The object of boxing is to not get hit and hit the other person, and he is a complete master at that. So I think it's been a circus so far, but when we get to the actual fight, I don't even see it going past 4 rounds. Mayweather is a pro. He's a legit pro.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Well, Cellus, I appreciate you so much for coming on the show. Everybody, once again, Cellus Hamilton on all avenues of social media, CELLUS Hamilton. Also go to the website, go to YouTube, check out the videos, and appreciate you for coming on so much.
Man, thank you for having me, bro.
All right, man. You have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye. All right, that was the interview with Cellus Hamilton. Once again, shout out to Grego in the chat room right now, part of X Squad affiliates, for passing over the contact info. Great interview. Kids got some dope music too. Like I said, cellushamilton.com. I'll put the link where you can get some free music. He's got a free mixtape out. The intro song from today was called Higher. I'll play that song probably again in the show, but that was one of the songs off of that mixtape. The album that he just came out with is called We Shall and We Will, #album of the year. It is a dope album. All right, so there were some people that came in the chat room. Before we get to our next guest, let me go down the list here and give my appreciation to everyone. That Ninja came in. Also, Mr. Controversy of the 3-Point Conversion Station. Once again, That Ninja has a show on Spreaker.com. He's on 2 Live Stews Radio, part of X Squad affiliates. You can go check him out. Also, the 3-Point Conversion Station, which is on Spreaker. His show was actually ended an hour before mine's. Tyjun Mack, he was on the show earlier. Also, Vince Wright, if I didn't say Vince Wright already. And I already said BAB. Sluggo, Michael Bonner was in the building as well. Earlier, he had a comment. No, I don't believe that Kyrie wants out, but it's only because he sees the writing on the wall that LeBron is out after this season. He doesn't want to be there losing. That's a pretty great point right there. Courtney Harden. So shout out to everybody in the chat room if I missed any names. DJ Nunu, DJ Queen also. So we're going to get to our next guest. And my bad, Ninja. He's a Real Cast Ranger, so excuse me. But we'll get to our next guest, Peter Roumeliotis. He does a podcast called Popternative. He does a lot. We will be interviewing him in just a moment. He'll be calling into the show. But there was a lot, like I've been talking about, that's went down from this week. Also, yesterday, John Wall signs a big extension. And I'm not surprised with that. I mean, that is really who they have. I think Otto Porter is already gone, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like they have so many different guys that they need to hold out and figure out who they need to sign. To me, that was a no-brainer that they were going to sign John Wall to an extension anyway. So that one to me wasn't that surprising, but I definitely wanted to give that a shout out. John Wall getting paid, which honestly he should be. He should be paid. And his contract extension, let me get to it here. Well, 4 years, $170 million. So that was his deal that he just got. And we got our next guest up on the show, Peter Roumeliotis of Popternative. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody that's listening, you need to go check out this guy's YouTube channel. Got amazing interviews. Go check it out. Popternative. I'll put that in the chat room. And while I have you on the show, Peter, I'll let you know that the show is very interactive. So there's a chat room. People will be jumping in. I'll be giving some shout outs. If they have any questions for you, I'll definitely throw those at you as well. But great to have you on. Once again, it's Peter Roumeliotis at PD Beats on Twitter. Also Popternative on Twitter. So, man, you do so much. I'm looking at your Twitter profile, and it's got like 10 things on there that you do. How do you balance all this time with all the tasks that you take on?
It's all about the grind, man. It's all about it. It's all about, I mean, I get that question a lot, and it started as a young kid. I've always been passionate about the sports, media, pop culture industry. Always wanted to be that guy to kind of get my feet wet with, a lot of organizations and get as much experience as possible, because it is, and we have these conversations on Popternative, it is an industry where you have to wear a lot of hats. You have to have experience with, live broadcasting, even, not only just being social media, but you have to have experience, in public relations. You have to be able to write press releases. So I see all these little opportunities in all my past experiences, on all my little side, whether it's my freelance work, whether it's my my jobs, and the events I've worked at. I kind of see it all intertwined in terms of, the recipe of success for, PD Beats down the road.
Yeah, and I think that's very key. That we all, if we do podcasting, if we do music, whatever you do, you really need to have your hands in a variety of different things. It's not going to just be one thing that I think you'll be successful at. Like, I do 3 podcasts because I know one of these is going to blow up one day. It will happen. So I try to versify myself. I try to learn about different things as well, so I'll definitely hear you on that. And so you've been doing podcasting. Like I talked about, you do a lot of other things. But what got you started into podcasting?
So I've always wanted to do a podcast. I mean, it started. I've been a big wrestling fan all my life, and I started watching and listening to Chris Jericho's podcast, like Talk is Jericho. And I've always been, listening to a lot of those podcasts. And essentially, I've always been interested in kind of interviewing players. And for example, when I worked at the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, I was interviewing a lot of hockey players. And I've always loved this concept of talking to people, and Popternative is essentially, it's going to be 2 years in September that I've done the podcast, and I wanted to kind of have those conversations with people that work in whether the talent, like the actual athletes or the musician or the actor, or the people, behind the scenes, like the people that are doing, the digital media for these big brands, and just have conversations about the industry and how people do things. And I always love the episodes where I have an Olympic athlete and then someone that does social media for a big brand, and then you can kind of have both of their opinions that could be completely different about a certain topic like podcasting or social media. So it's like a round table discussion format, and that's kind of where I started. And I think it's unique too because we do, the video podcast where it's like a web, like almost like Skype. It's like me talking to people, so it's video, it's interactive, and we also do, audio only, is like phone conversations. So it's come a long way, Popternative, and I'm really happy with how it's doing. We're getting about 1,400 listeners a week on all of our platforms, which is we're pretty happy with, and we wanted to go up, and we're going to do as much as we can to make that possible.
Yeah, definitely. And that's awesome. That is awesome to have that many listeners on a variety of different platforms, and I just hope the doors continue to open for you. Now, there was an interesting interview that you had this past week, I believe it was last week, with Brittany Wagner of Last Chance U. All the listeners, if you haven't seen that yet, if you got Netflix, go check it out. Last Chance U, and it's a sports show where it talks about different athletes, football players in particular, that don't make it at D1s either for grades or whatever reasons. They go to this community college in Mississippi, who's like a juggernaut in the wins. And Brittany Wagner, I believe, is like an advisor to the students. But what was that interview like, and did you learn any secrets about the show you can let us know about?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was really happy to have Britt Wagner on. On social media, there's like there's a community of social media, sports, business, and digital media personalities, and the hashtag SM Sports. And one of my colleagues, Chris Yandel, used to be with Georgia Tech Athletics, had a sports PR podcast, and he had Brittany Wagner on a couple of years ago when season 1 came out. And I've got in contact with Brittany and wanted to do an episode with her, and we did. And the timing was pretty amazing. 1 week before season 2 drops on Netflix. And I loved, like I said before, Ben, I love the behind the scenes. She kind of walked us through what it was like to be on camera, how it was like kind of uncomfortable for her a little bit because she's just doing her job, and then the snap of the fingers, boom, she's doing it in front of cameras for thousands of viewers on that for Netflix. So talking about that was really interested. I have a master's degree in sports communication from Carleton University, and so I was really interested in the education aspect of the show, and I really wanted to intertwine that and put that in my interview with Brittany. So we did, and we talked about education, and we talked about the whole concept, and I think she really answered my questions well about, it's one thing, to be on top of it in terms of studying and the content and the theories that you need to know for exams and papers, but the whole thing about college and university, Ben, is to get taught kind of proper discipline and the structure of things, like being on time for classes and maintaining deadlines and meeting people on time, because those are things that you transfer in the real world. And a lot of these players, are not going to play football for the rest of their lives, so they have to find ways to be prepared for that world. And this is what Brittany said, and she wants to do that. So it wasn't even about the actual stuff they learn in class that's going to be on the test. It was about structure and teaching them structure. And she said, it was important, I have to make sure that everyone had a pencil. There are certain rules, because that is the key to being on time is huge. It's part of work. People don't realize that. People are like, oh, I'm going to school. I don't really need to know. When am I ever going to need these theories in life? But that's not the point. Education is key because it teaches you a structure that you'll bring to the workforce in your daily life one day. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and you're 100% correct. And I watched the first season in one night. I mean, I was hopefully that was a Friday, because hopefully I didn't have to go to work the next day. But I literally stood up all night, watched it. It was hard for me to look away. It's just one of those series where if you're into sports, if you're into the comeback story, if you're into football, period, if you're into college football, it's a great show. And yes, that's what Brittany pretty much does. He's like a student corraler, I guess you can say, with the kind of some of the things that she did, like you said. But that was a great interview. And once again, we're talking to Peter Roumeliotis at PD Beats on Twitter of Popternative. But what would be your most favorite interview, or if you want to say maybe like a top 5, if your favorite would be too
hard? We've had a lot of different interviews. I think one that I really enjoyed having I really enjoyed having Jonathan Torrens, who played J.